Yes. One hour general, one HWG. And the thing is all over the world. Everywhere you go, you see it. Every station you turn on, you see it. The news, the news about this thing, this continued police brutality. The news, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And we have to say much thanks to um, the advent of cell phone, mobile devices. Mobile devices has been doing a wonderful job in bringing some of these historical uh, crimes against inner city urban members of minority groups, mainly black and brown young people. Um, and the news is everywhere. Everywhere is the news. It's not, people can't say they didn't know now. Because a lot of time you have people that they would say, I didn't know. I didn't know this was going on. People can't say that no more. That as an excuse is forget about it. The second thing that I want to look at is the issue that they says, okay, well, the most people, black youth that is being killed is being killed by other black youths, and it's a killing in Chicago, and it's a killing in DC, and it's a killing here, and it's a killing there. Fair enough. But to bring justice to that point, you must also be fair-minded in also saying that most white folks that are killed are also killed by white folks. So the point is basically mute as to the issue that people are angry about. Another point they make is that more white people are killed each year by law enforcement than black people. And they give a number of, say, 400, I think it was last year, they said 400 white people were killed by police compared to 200 and something for black people. Oh, fair enough again. That's an accurate point. It's not the numbers that we are talking about here. We have to deal with per population, which if you look at it now from a different angle, you realize that the overwhelming amount of killing is happening among black folks. And that's why they said for the Caucasian people make up almost 65% of the population, or probably a little bit less or a little bit more, somewhere around there. And 400, and you're talking about 3 to 400 million people. So if you have 3 to 400 million people, and 65% of that 300, 400 million people is Caucasian, and per year they lost 400 their citizens to law enforcement activity, whether legal or illegal. And then you look at the black population, which make up somewhere between 13 and 14% of the overall 400 million people. And you talk about for the year is 200 plus people killed by police. Majority, the vast majority, innocent, non-threatening young men shot dead by police. The other part about it is that so the point that they're making about the 400 number, that forget about it, that is irrelevant. So now we have to turn to another point that they like to make, and they like to say that most of the killings are happening in communities or cities that are run by Democrats, and it is liberal policies why young black men or minority community is not doing better economically, and so on and so forth. Not true again. It's another myth that they throw around, that this has something to do with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and the goodness of one party as it relates to the needs and aspiration of the minority community. So-called minority, I must add that a lot of us don't believe that people with dark complexion are a minority. It just don't make no sense. The majority of the world population have dark complexion, so they're not the minority. But just for political classification within a nation where the larger the population is of a whiter complexion, so the minority label or classification, quote unquote. So the argument about whether it's Democrat Party or Republican Party that cause the issues within the community is basically foolishness again. Because what we are saying and what is the fact is that a lot of the issues them that related to black economic disenfranchisement, lack of property and lack of economic wealth, hand-me-down generational wealth, have very little to do with Republican or Democrat. It all have to do with institutional racism. And institutional racism practiced by both members of both parties one time or another to the detriment of the black population. That's just a fact of it. So the argument that, okay, it's Detroit and Detroit is run by Democrat, or it's Chicago is run by Democrat, this is, ridiculous, because the reason why black people are so enclaved, if you will, within certain area within Chicago, New York, because they had to run from their home where they lived in the South because of racism, lynching, and they have to seek refuge in the western northern state where, unfortunate, they found that in many instances it was just as racist as where they run from. So that's so just throw that out the window. It's not Republican, it's not Democrat. It's institutional. All right. So the final point I want to make, kind of a little long-winded, 1 hour with the general. Time is always of the essence. We try to do what we're doing in a well-controlled time frame. So we make sure everybody understand that this is not about arguing for time or taking up too much time and making sense. Just want to make the point and move on. So the next point that they talk about is that protests. This is not legitimate protest because you have looting, and so once the freedom of expression, the marching and the talking, clash with people going in store and people setting fire, it moved from legitimate protest to what they're characterizing as riot. Yeah? Okay. So let's say, for example, you have, like what we've seen, 500,000 people marching across the country. And of the 500,000 people that marching, 600 in different areas decide, you know what, we're going to go outside of the norm of protest where we respect people property, respect innocent people lives, and protect ourselves and do it in an orderly, respectful way. 600 of the 500,000 decide to do that. So we're talking about a very small percentage of the overall, which would fit into the general deviance within society per population. If you understand the point we're making, we're saying we have 400 million people, and of the 400 million people, the amount that actually engage in deviancy and criminal activity according to law would be probably no more than probably, less than probably a million. So you come back to the same per population that we talked about. So that's 600 people that conduct themselves in a manner that cause destruction and probably loss of life. Those people now would become the representation of the overall protest, even though 500 plus thousand did not engage in none of that. They did it in a peaceful way. So we understand now that it's sensationalization is easier to achieve if you use emotional terms. So riot and looting are emotional terms. They generate a lot of emotion. They stir up animosity and they cause division. And some people says to hide, and this is the final point I want to make, to hide the accountability and the responsibility of the system to provide justice when justice is needed in a timely manner, bear no responsibility. Because 500 out of 500,000 people in many different locations decide to express their anger in a more physical and a more visible and probably destructive manner. Yeah? So now these people, which is after the event of the cold-blooded murder of George Floyd, and a lot of time when we have these riots, that's exactly what it is. The people reaction, the emotional fire. They can't hold it no more because the pressure of racism, injustice, and police brutality on a constant basis, and the mistrust to know that even though the evidence is right in front of our eyes, the government, those that are in charge to press charges, investigate and bring justice to the voiceless and the poor and the needy, they're saying that in some cases there's no evidence to file charges. And then when they file charges, they file types of charges that are too much or too little, so the jury find these people not guilty. And this is going on over and over and over and over again. So the people get tired, and the people react in ways that in some cases cause added pressure and added pain and suffering, even to themselves. But never forget, the root cause have to do with police brutality, police violence, and the murder of innocent black young men. That's the argument. That's the point. And that's the cause. Get rid of the cause, 9 times out of 10, you not have the disease. The cause, get rid of it, you will be more able to determine what you're affected by. So, we know for a fact that there's no way you can have your foot in the neck of a man and not knowing whether that man is losing life or not. It's not practical as a human being. You're going to have your foot on the neck of a person. You're going to know when he stops breathing. And you have your foot on that man's neck for almost 9 minutes. And he died. And you're responsible. All 4 of you are responsible. And the system's supposed to take account and take responsibility fast. And it's not about looting and protests. It's not about burning down a shop. It's not about those who decide to express themselves in a more destructive way. That's not the point. The point is about police misconduct. And that's what it's all about. And I just want to say my few words. I hope it makes sense. 1 hour with the general. We love each and every last one of you. And we are for peace. And we are for justice. And we are for equality for all. And we love you. We are especially in this for young people. That's who we are in this for. 1HWG, press the like button, subscribe, and leave your comments below. We really, really appreciate your contribution in helping to build this channel. 1HWG again. Love you guys.